Hi guys, welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be covering complete Unit 5 in Python programming. I will explain all these topics in detail, and whatever the topics that I am going to cover in this video, I will provide all those topics and the timings in description. So before starting this video, please check in description. I also provided complete Python programming study material link in description. You can download from description. Guys, I have uploaded complete Python programming subject tutorials. I will provide link in description. You can watch from there. If you are watching this video for the first time, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Let's get started. At first, I will explain what is database. A database is an organized collection of structured information or data, typically stored electronically in a computer system. That means, for example, let us consider database. My database name is mydatabase.db. Inside this database, there is one table. The table name is students, and the students table contains name, Sai, Rahul, Raju and roll number 12, 13, 49, section ABA. A database is an organized collection of structured information. What is meaning of this organized collection? Organized collection means in database we will store data in organized format like all names in one place, roll numbers in one place and section in one place. This is meaning of organized collection. So a database is an organized collection of structured information. What is meaning of the structured information? That means in database we will store data in structured format like we will store data in tables. This table is structured format. So a database is an organized collection of structured information or data typically stored electronically in a computer system, and we will store this database in computer. For example, if you consider this database, my database name is mydatabase.db, and we will store this database in computer. So this is definition of database. A database is usually controlled by a database management system. This database management system is software, and by using this software we can create database and we can perform various operations on database. For example, I want to create database with name mydatabase, and inside this database I want to insert students table. Inside students table I want to give column names like name, roll number, section, and similarly inside this column I want to insert values like Sai, Rahul, Raju and so on. So in order to create database and in order to perform various operations on database, we need database management system software. By using this DBMS software, we can create database and as well as we can perform various operations on database. Data within the most common types of databases in operation today is typically modeled in rows and columns in a series of tables to make processing and data querying efficient. That means actually in database we can store data in various formats like we can store data in the form of tables, trees, documents and even graphs. But among all this, many of the software companies prefer tables in order to store information, because if you store data in tables format, that is in the form of rows and columns, because it is easy to access data, modify data and update and control data. So many of the software companies prefer to store data in the form of tables in database. Most databases use structured query language for writing and querying data. That means, for example, I want to create database with name mydatabase, and inside this database I want to insert one students table, and inside this students table I want to give column names like name, roll number and section, and I want to insert some data like Sai, Rahul, Raju, roll number 12, 13, 49, section ABA. I want to insert this data inside students table. So just you need to open any DBMS software, and inside this DBMS software you need to use structured query language in order to create database and in order to insert table inside database and in order to perform various operations on this database. For example, I want to create table. The table name is students. So just you need to write here SQL command, that is create table. Here you need to give table name. Whenever you write here create table and table name, that is students, it will create students table inside my database. In structured query language, whatever the code that we write, we call that code as queries. Next, I will explain various types of databases. There are various types of databases used for storing different varieties of data. In order to store different varieties of data, there are various types of databases available like centralized database, distributed database,
relational database, cloud database, object-oriented database and graph database. I will explain each of them. At first, I will explain what is centralized database. Centralized database is a type of database that stores data at a centralized database system. It comforts the users to access the stored data from different locations through several applications. For example, there is one software company. The software company contains centralized database system. Now, whatever the data that the software company contains, all this data is stored in centralized database system. For example, there are 3 employees. One employee is from Hyderabad and one employee is from Bangalore and one employee is from Chennai. Now, by using various applications, all these 3 employees can access this data which is present in centralized database system. These applications contain the authentication process to let users access data securely. Authentication is nothing but password. For example, if this user wants to access data which is present in centralized database system, then this user must enter password in his application. Only if this password is correct, then he can access this data. Next one is distributed database. Unlike a centralized database system, in distributed database systems, data is distributed among different database systems of an organization. These database systems are connected via communication links. Such links helps the end users to access data easily. Meaning of this is, for example, if you consider centralized database system, in centralized database system we use only one single database. The database is centralized database. But whereas in distributed database, each employee contains his own database. And these database systems are connected via communication links. In this example, all these 3 databases are connected by using communication links. Such links help the end users to access data easily. So end user can access his data easily. Distributed database is classified into 2 types. They are homogeneous distributed database and next one is heterogeneous distributed database. Homogeneous distributed database means database systems which executes on the same operating system and uses same application and hardware. For example, if this user is using Windows, then this user also use Windows and similarly this user also use Windows. So homogeneous distributed database means database systems which executes on the same operating system and they also use same application and same hardware. And next one is heterogeneous distributed database. For example, if all these 3 employees uses different operating systems, different application and different hardware, then we call it as heterogeneous distributed database. Next one is relational database. Data which is stored in the form of rows and columns together form a table is known as relational database. A relational database uses structured query language for storing, manipulating and as well as maintaining the data. If you consider this example, this is relational database because in this data is stored in the form of rows and columns. That is, data is stored in the form of tables. So we call it as relational database. And in relational database, we use structured query language. Next one is cloud database. Cloud database is a type of database where data is stored in a virtual environment and executes over the cloud computing platform. Virtual environment is nothing but internet. We will store data in internet. And this cloud database provides various cloud computing services for accessing the database. In order to access database, this cloud database provides various cloud computing services like software as a service, platform as a service and infrastructure as a service, etc. Some of the examples of cloud platforms are Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure and Google Cloud SQL. Next one is object-oriented database. For example, if you consider Python is object-oriented programming language. Object-oriented database means by using Python program itself, we can create database and we can perform various operations on database. And last one is graph database. Data which is stored in the form of ER is known as graph database. What is meaning of ER? Where ER stands for entity relationship. In this example, student and btech are entities. What is the relationship between these entities? Studies. So studies is relationship. Next, I will explain database challenges. First one is significant increases in data volume. Day by day, we will update huge amount of data in database. Handling those huge amount of data is challenging task. And next one is data consistency. For example, if we transfer database from one location to another location, then whatever the data that is present inside database must be correct. Our data should not change if we transfer data from one location to another location. This is meaning of data consistency. Consistency means correct. Data must be correct in database. And third one is data security. Nowadays, many hackers are using advanced techniques in order to hack data. So we need to use advanced security features in order to protect our database. So securing our data is another challenging task. And fourth one is data redundancy. Data redundancy means we should not store same data multiple number of times. For example, if you consider this table, in this table, I give a name Sai and rule number 15 twice. Though if we give same data multiple number of times, then database must store the data only once. This is meaning of data redundancy. And next one is data independency. Data independency means, for example, if we move our database from one location to another location, then it should not affect data which is present in our database table. This is meaning of data independency. And last challenge is data administration. Managing the overall data is known as data administration. Every software company contains database administrator. Data administration work is done by this database administrator. These are various challenges in database. Next, I will explain what is DBMS. DBMS stands for Database Management System. This DBMS is software. In order to establish communication between user and database, we need DBMS software. By using this DBMS software, user can create database, user can insert tables inside database, and user can perform various operations on database. Inside this DBMS software, we need to use SQL, that is Structured Query Language, in order to perform these operations. So this database management system software acts as interface between user and database. Some of the most common database management system softwares are MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server, and Oracle Database. These are examples of DBMS softwares. Next, I will explain what is SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Guys, normally in software companies, employees pronounce it as SQL, not SQL. So try to pronounce it as SQL. By using SQL, we can access and manipulate databases. This SQL is standard language for relational database management systems. That is, we use SQL in RDBMS. RDBMS is nothing but relational database, data which is stored in the form of tables. Simply by using SQL, we can communicate with relational database. By using SQL, we can execute queries, and also we can retrieve data from database. We can insert records in database, we can update records, we can delete records, and as well as we can create new database, and also we can insert tables inside database. Guys, these are some of the most important SQL commands. And the first one is select command. By using select command, we can select data from a database. And next one is update command. By using update, we can update data in a database. And similarly, by using delete, we can delete data from a database. By using insert into command, we can insert new data into a database. And next one is create database. By using create database command, we can create new database. And by using alter database command, we can modify database. And similarly, by using create table, we can create table. And by using alter table, we can modify table. And whereas by using drop table command, we can delete table. By using create index command, we can create index. By using drop index command, we can delete an index. Guys, these are 4 basic SQL operations. And the first one is select. Select statement will select data from database tables. And next one is update. For example, this is my table. In this table, I want to change name Sai to name Nagendra. This is known as update operation. Update is nothing but updating data which is present in my table. Update statement updates existing data into database tables. And next one is insert. Insert statement inserts new data into database tables. For example, in this table, I want to add name Nagendra, roll number 15 and section C. Inserting new data in database table is known as update operation. And last one is delete. Delete statement deletes existing data from database tables. For example, this is data which is present in my table. Now I want to delete this entire row. I want to delete this Sai, rule number 12 and section A. I want to delete this entire row. This is known as delete operation. Deleting data from database table is known as delete operation. These are 4 basic SQL operations. Next, I will explain difference between in-memory DBMS and persistent DBMS. In-memory is nothing but RAM. In this in-memory DBMS, data is stored in RAM. So once we shut down our system, all data will be lost. So we call it as temporary storage. And persistent means permanent. In persistent DBMS, data is stored in hard disk. So even if we shut down our system, data will be present in our system. Whereas in in-memory DBMS, working with database is much faster. And whereas in persistent DBMS, working with database is slower. Its design is simple, its design is complicated. This is simple structure of in-memory DBMS. By using application, we can connect to in-memory database. Next, you need to know what is hybrid DBMS. Hybrid DBMS is combination of both in-memory DBMS and persistent DBMS. Based on your requirement, you can store data either in RAM or in hard disk. Next, I will explain what is GDL, DML and DQL. Where DDL stands for Data Definition Language. DDL statements are used to define database schema. Schema is nothing but how data is organized in relational database is known as database schema. These are some of the DDL commands. They are create, alter, drop and truncate. Next, I will explain what is DML. DML stands for Data Manipulation Language. DML statements are used for manipulating or changing the data in database. The name itself says manipulation, that is nothing but modifying data in database. These are DML commands. They are insert, delete and update. By using these commands, we can modify data which is present in database. And next one is DQL, where DQL stands for Data Query Language. Query is nothing but question. Whatever the code that we write by using structured query language, we call that code as query. DQL statement is used to query the database for retrieving required information. For example, if you want to access any information which is present in database, then you can use select command, where this select is DQL command. Next, I will explain difference between open source database and commercial database. Open source database is nothing but database software which we can download with free of cost in internet is known as open source database. These open source databases are free to download. And these commercial databases are premium versions. So we cannot download them with free of cost in internet. They are paid versions. MySQL, PostgreSQL and MongoDB softwares are examples of open source database. Oracle and DB2 softwares are examples of commercial database softwares. Open source databases are free of cost, so they will provide limited technical support, whereas commercial databases are paid versions, so they will guarantee technical support. And both open source database and commercial database will provide same security features. Both commercial and open source database have their own advantages and disadvantages. So when compared to commercial database, open source database is best because we can download this database with free of cost in internet. So this open source database is best.
Next, I will explain offset, order by and filter by in SQL. Guys, we call this offset, order by and filter by as classes. CLAUSES. Classes are nothing but they are like instructions. At first, I will explain what is use of offset class. Let us consider a situation where we need to display only specific number of rows within a given range. In this case, we might have to remove set of rows from the beginning and display records as per requirement. For example, let us consider this table. In this table, I want to display only last 3 rows. So in order to display last 3 rows, we need to eliminate this first row and second row. And we can achieve it by using offset. By using offset, we can eliminate set of records from our table. Offset in SQL is used to eliminate set of records from a given table in order to retrieve a set of records according to our requirement. In order to retrieve set of records according to our requirement, of course we need to eliminate remaining records, and you can achieve it by using offset. Offset in SQL is generally used with order by clause with a value greater than or equal to 0. That means normally we will use offset along with order by clause. And whatever the offset value that you give, that offset value must be greater than or equal to 0. We should not give negative values. Next, I will explain what is use of order by clause. The name itself says order by. That is nothing but it will display data in particular order. Guys, I will explain both offset and order by giving one example. This is syntax of order by and offset. At first, you need to select columns from table. So just write here select column names from table name. Next, write here order by column name. For example, I want to arrange data according to rule number, like rule number 1, 2, 3, so on. So directly you can give column name here, that is rule number column. And next, write here offset n rows. N is nothing but number of rows to be deleted. For example, in students table, I want to delete first row. So just write here 1. For example, in students table, I want to delete first 2 rows. So just write here offset 2 rows. For example, my database contains students table. Students table contains data. Rahul, section A, age 21. Similarly, name Ramesh, section A and age 18 and so on. Now by using offset, I will delete first row. Whenever you write here offset 1 rows, it will delete first row. After deleting this first row, now I want to arrange this table according to age. That is nothing but I want to arrange data from small age to big age. First Mahesh age is small. Mahesh age is 17. After Mahesh, Ramesh. After Ramesh, Rani. And after Rani, Siri age. I want to arrange this table from small age to big. I will write query for this. I want to print 3 columns. One column name is name. Next column name is section. And next column name is age. All these columns are present in students table. So at first you need to write select name column, comma section, comma age from students. And next, I want to arrange this table from small age to big. Here you need to use order by class. So just write here order by age. So it will arrange this table in order according to age. And at last I written here offset 1 row. Whenever you write here offset 1 row, it will not display first row. It will ignore first row. Whenever I run this code, this is my output. It will ignore first row and it will display only these first 4 rows. This is my output. Next I will explain what is use of filter by class. Filter by class is used to filter records based on our requirement. For example, from the students table, I don't want section B data. I want to acquire only section A data. So just you need to write here db.table name, that is students.filter by section A. Whenever you write here db.students.filter by section A, it will print only section A data. Next I will explain SQLITE constants. Whatever the rules that we apply on database columns on table, we call those rules as constants. And by using constants, we can limit the type of data that can go into a table. We can limit data by using constants. And constants ensures the accuracy and reliability of data in the database. That is nothing but by using constants, we can ensure correctness of data in database. That is nothing but by using constants, accurate data will be stored in database. Constants could be column level or table level. Column level constants are applied only to one column, and whereas table level constants are applied to whole table. We can apply constants to only one particular column, or else we can also apply constants to whole table. Guys, I will give an example so that you can clearly understand what is use of these constants. In SQLITE total there are 4 types of constants. They are not null constant, default constant, unique constant and primary key constant. Not null constants ensures that a column cannot have null value. For example, this is my table. In this table, I want to apply not null constant to this rule number. Whenever you apply not null constant to particular column, then we cannot give null values to this rule number. Definitely you need to give value. This is use of not null constant. If you apply not null constant to particular column, then we cannot give null values to this particular column. Next one is default constant. Default constant provides a default value for a column when none is specified. For example, for all the students, I want to set section as section A. So by using default constant, you can apply default value to this particular column. Whenever you don't give any data, then by default it will take value as section A. Next one is unique constants. Unique constants ensure that all values in a column are different. Whenever you apply unique constant to particular column, then you must give unique values in that column. For example, I applied unique constant to this age column. Whenever you apply unique constant to this age column, then inside this age column, you need to give unique values. You cannot give same values. For example, for Rahul I given age 15 and similarly for Shiva I given age 15. So it will not accept. So definitely whenever you apply unique constant to particular column, then you must give unique values to that particular column. Next I will explain primary key constants. Primary key constants uniquely identifies each row or record in a database table. For example, if you consider rule number column, definitely we will give different rule numbers for each student. We cannot give same rule numbers. If any column contains unique values, then you can set that column as primary key. Primary is nothing but main key. If you set primary key for rule number column, then this rule number column acts as main column. Guys, I will explain all these constants by giving single example. For example, I want to create students table. So just write here create table students. Inside students table, I want to create 4 columns. One column name is rule number, next column name is name, next column name is section, and next column name is age. So just write here rule number. Inside rule number column, I want to enter integer values like rule number 12, 13, so on. So just write here rule number, data type, that is int. Here I am giving primary key. Primary key is nothing but if any column contains unique values, for that column you can give primary key. It acts as main column. So just I written here rule number in primary key, comma. Similarly, another column name is name. So just write here name. Name is text data type because I want to enter text like name Nagendra, name Sai, name Rahul, so on. So I am giving data type as text, and inside this I am writing not null. So whenever you give here name, text data type and not null, this name column will not accept null values. So definitely you must give name. You cannot give null values to this name column. It will not accept null values. For example, here in place of Rahul, I did not return anything. So if you don't write anything, it should take null value. But whenever you write here not null, if you don't write anything here, it will not accept. Definitely you need to give your name. Next, I want to create another column. That column name is section. And inside section, I want to give section A, section B, so on. So I am taking data type as text. Section text. And I am giving a default value, that is section A. Whenever you write here default section A, if you don't give any value inside section column, by default it will take value, that is section A. All the students belong to section A. So I took here default section A. So by default it will take section A. And next I want to create another column. That column name is age. Inside age column, I want to give age like age 12, 13, so on. So I am taking data type as int. Age int. Here I am giving unique. Whenever you give unique constant to particular column, then you must enter unique values inside that column. You cannot enter same values. So for Rahul I am giving age 15, for Ramesh 16, for Shiva 17, and for Mahesh 18. For example, if I give Rahul age as 15 and similarly Shiva age as 15, it will not accept because I given here unique. So it will not accept same values, it will accept only unique values. Next I will explain constructors in Python. Constructors in Python is a special method that is called when an object is created. That is nothing but whenever we create any object, then we need to call constructor method. But what is use of this constructor method? By using Python constructor, we can assign values to data members within the class when an object is created. The name of constructor method always starts with underscore underscore init underscore underscore. This is how we start constructor, where this init stands for initialization. Guys, I will give one simple example so that you can clearly understand what is use of this constructor. At first we need to create class. We can create class by using keyword class. So I written here class and I am giving class name as person. You can give any name. I am giving class name as person and give colon. Now inside this class we need to create function. We can create function by using keyword, that is def, define. So at first I written here def, but instead of giving here function name, I given here constructor. Just I written here underscore underscore init underscore underscore, where this underscore underscore init underscore underscore is constructor. Take brackets and inside brackets you need to write self and give colon. Whenever you write here self, then our computer will understand that this function belongs to class. So whenever you create any function inside class, then you need to write self. So I written here self and give colon. Now inside this constructor, I want to create name John and age 25. So just I written here self.name equal to John, self.age equal to 25. Guys, definitely write here self.name and self.age. Now outside class we need to create object. You can take any variable name. I am taking variable name as p. P equal to, guys, object is nothing but here class name is person. So whenever you write here class name and take brackets, then we call it as object. Here class name is person. So I took here person and I given brackets. So we call this person as object. Now I am storing this object in variable p and next write here print p.name and next write here print p.age. So whenever I run this entire code, I will get output John and 25. From this example, underscore underscore init underscore underscore method is called when person object is created. Whenever we create person object here, then it will call this underscore underscore init underscore underscore method and it sets name and age attributes of object. So whenever you write here p.name and p.age, you will get output John and 25. Underscore underscore init underscore underscore method is commonly referred to as constructor because it is responsible for constructing object. By using this constructor, we constructed this object, that is person. Next I will explain various types of constructors. Constructors are classified into three types. They are default constructor, parameterized constructor and non-parameterized constructor. Constructor that takes no arguments is known as default constructor. And similarly, constructor that takes one or more arguments is known as parameterized constructor. And constructor that do not take any arguments is known as non-parameterized constructor. Next I will explain what is relational database. A relational database is a type of database that organizes data into one or more tables with columns and rows. Data which is stored in the form of tables is known as relational database. In this example, we are organizing data in the form of table. So we call it as relational database. And this relational model was developed by E.F. CRUD in 1970s. Some of the examples of relational database management system softwares are Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server and PostgreSQL. All these are examples of relational database management system softwares. Next I will explain benefits of Python for database programming. Python is very popular scripting language for connecting with database. And second benefit is Python is open source. Open source means we can download Python with free of cost in internet. And Python is portable. Portable means, for example, I written Python program in one system. Simply I can copy that program and I can run that program in another system. This is meaning of portable. And Python will support relational database system. And last benefit is, it is easy to use tools in Python. In Python there are various tools available for database programming. These are 4 benefits of Python for database programming. Next I will explain module attributes of database API, where API stands for Application Programming Interface. By using API level attribute, we can find version of database API module. And by using thread safety attribute, we can find level of thread safety. And by using para m style, we can find SQL statement parameter style. And connect is nothing but connect function. These are 4 module attributes for database API. Next I will explain database parameter style. This database parameter style is syntax used to specify parameters in SQL statements. There are several parameter styles used by different database management systems. And that first one is positional parameter style. In order to represent parameters in SQL statements, this positional parameter style will use question mark symbol. Example, select star from students where students is table name, where name equal to question mark, where this question mark symbol represent positional parameter style. Next one is named parameter style. In order to represent parameters in SQL statement, this named parameter style will use named placeholder. This is example. Just I written here select star from students where students is table, where name equal to name. This name is named parameter style. Here we will use name. And last one is $quoted string constant parameter style. The name itself says $quoted. That means it will use $sign in order to represent each parameter in SQL statement. This is example. Just write here select star from students where name equal to, here I written $1, where this dollar represent $quoted string constant parameter style. Guys, we can choose different parameter styles based on the different database management system softwares. If we choose correct parameter style, then it will display correct result. Next I will explain cursor object methods and attributes. By using cursor object, we can interact with database and as well as we can retrieve data from database. These are uses of cursor object. First one is, by using cursor object, we can execute SQL queries on database and also we can fetch data, we can modify data and we can also perform start, commit and rollback transactions by using cursor objects. These are various cursor object methods. By using execute method and execute many method, we can execute queries. Whatever the data that is present in database, if you want to see the data in Python terminal, you can use fetch1, fetch all and fetch many methods. Whereas fetch1 method will display only first row and whereas fetch all and fetch many methods will display all rows in my database. And whereas by using close method, we can close cursor and we can close database. These are various cursor object methods. Next I will explain cursor object attributes. First one is description. Description is read only attribute. Read only attribute means we can only read data, we cannot write data. And it is 7 item sequence. This description attribute contains total 7 items. They are name, type code, display size, internal size, precision, scale and null OK. These are 7 items description attribute contains. Among all these items, first 2 items are mandatory and whereas remaining items are optional. And next attribute is row count. This row count is read only attribute, that is nothing but By using this attribute, we can only read data, we cannot write data. This read-only attribute specifies number of rows that last execute method produce. How many rows that last execute method produce? We can identify that number of rows by using row count. Description and row count. These both are cursor object attributes. Next I will explain what is database API. Database is nothing but organized collection of data. If you want to store any data in proper format, then you can use database. In database, we can store data in proper format. And next, API stands for Application Programming Interface. The name itself says interface means middle layer. API is a language and message format used by an application program to communicate with database management system. If you want to communicate Python with database, then we need one application programming interface, that is API. In Python, we use SQLITE 3 module. The SQLITE 3 module is nothing but it is API. By using SQLITE 3 module, we can establish communication between Python and database. Database API is used to establish communication between Python program and database. Normally, we can create database by using structured query language. Same like Python programming, there is one language called structured query language. That is shortly we call it as SQL. By using SQL, we can create database and we can perform various operations on database. Whenever you import SQLITE 3 module in Python, you can write structured query language in Python itself. This is diagram of database API. In order to establish communication between Python application and database, we need one database API. Database API is nothing but in Python we need to import SQLITE 3 module. This SQLITE 3 module acts as interface between Python and database. Whenever you import SQLITE 3 module, you can write structured query language commands inside Python. That is nothing but we are creating database and we are performing various operations on database in Python program itself. These are features of SQLITE 3. First one is serverless. Normally if you want to connect to database, then we need server. But whereas in SQLITE 3, there is no need of server. For example, if you consider another APIs like MySQL and PostgreSQL, we need one server in order to connect to database. But whereas in SQLITE 3, there is no need of server. And next one is self-contained. Self-contained means the SQLITE 3 does not depend on operating system and external libraries. And next one is zero configuration. For example, before starting any application programming interface, at first we need to configure it. But whereas in SQLITE 3, there is no need of any configuration. Directly we can run SQLITE 3. And the SQLITE 3 is serverless. So there is no need of even installing the SQLITE 3. Directly by using import keyword, you can import this module and you can use. And fourth feature is transactional. SQLITE is ACID. ACID is nothing but the SQLITE 3 is fully automatic and fully consistent. Consistent means correct. And fully isolated. Isolated means if any error occurs, then we can easily handle those errors in SQLITE 3. And last one is durability. Durability means even if any damage occurs, then it can easily recover. Even when an unexpected situations like application crash, power failure or operating system failure, it can easily recover. Transactional means the SQLITE 3 supports ACID properties. And last feature is single database. SQLITE 3 is single database. That means if you connect to single database, you can access multiple database files. So this is best feature. By using this feature, we can join tables in different databases and we can copy data and so on. Next I will explain CRUD operations in database. CRUD stands for create, read, update and delete. These are four fundamental operations in database. At first I will explain how to create database. The create command is used to create the table in the database. By using create command, we can create table in the database. This is syntax in order to create table in the database. At first you need to write create command and table. Here you need to give table name. For example, I want to give table name as students. So you can write here students. For example, if you want to give table name as employee, you can write here employee. Take brackets and inside brackets you need to write attribute and type. Attribute is nothing but column names and type is nothing but data type. I'll give one simple example. In order to create database by using Python programming, there is one module in Python. That module name is SQLITE 3. By using the SQLITE 3 module, you can create database. As we know, by using import keyword, we can import any module. I want to import SQLITE 3. So just write here import SQLITE 3. And next take variable name. I want to create database. So I am taking here variable name as CON, that is nothing but connection. CON equal to module name, that is SQLITE 3 dot connect. By using connect method, we can connect to database. If database is already present in my system, then it will connect to the database. But if the database is not present in my system,
Then it will create the database and it will connect to the database. For example, database is not present in my system. Now I want to create database. So just write here con equal to module name, that is SQLITE 3 dot connect. Using connect method we can create database if database is not present in my system. I want to create database. The database name is my database. I am giving database name as my database. So in quotations write my database dot db. In order to create database you need to use .db extension. So double quotations close. Whenever I run this line of code it will create database. The database name is mydatabase.db. So it created database. The database name is mydatabase.db. Now inside this database I want to create table. The table name is students. So at first write cur equal to my database is present in variable, that is con connection. So just write here con dot cursor, cursor. If you want to create table or if you want to insert any values into the table, definitely at first you need to take cursor method. So I took here variable name as cur equal to my database is present in variable, that is con. So just write here con dot cursor method. By using cursor method we can point to database. Now I want to create table. The table name is students. So just write here cursor method is present in variable, that is cur. So just write here cur dot execute. By using execute method we can create tables and we can also insert values into the tables. Guys, definitely in execute method at first you need to take quotation. So just take here quotation. I already said this syntax in order to create table. So just write here create table. I want to create table only if that table is not present in my database. So create table if not exist, if not exists, definitely write here s, or else it will display error. And here you need to give table name. I want to create table, the table name is students. So just write here students. Create table if not exist, this is table name, and take bracket. I want to create 3 columns. One column name is name, another column name is roll number, and another column name is section. So just write here name, and here you need to give data type. So just write here text type. Guys, whatever the language that I am using in order to create this table, we call this language as structured query language. By using structured query language, we can create database and we can perform various operations on the database. This is structured query language. In structured query language, we do not use string type. We use text data type in order to insert any text. So just write here name text, comma. Next I want to insert rule number. So rule number, we will enter rule number like rule number 1, 2, so on. So it is integer type. So just write here int, comma. Next I want to insert section. So just write here section. Section is also text type. So just write here text. I open bracket here. So close bracket, and similarly we need to close this bracket and quotation. So close quotation and close bracket. By using execute method we can create table and as well as we can insert values into the table. After writing this line of code, next write here connection. Because my database is present in variable, that is con. So just write here con dot commit. Commit is nothing but by using commit method we can store data permanently in my database. Commit is used to commit above operation. Even if I close this program, this data will be stored in database permanently. Definitely if you perform each and every operation like inserting values or any modifications, definitely write here connection.commit. Whenever I run these 3 lines of code, it will create table. The table name is students and it will insert 3 columns. One column name is name, another column name is roll number, and another column name is section. So inside my database, it will create table. The table name is students, and student table contains 3 columns. One column name is name, another column name is roll number, and another column name is section. Now I want to insert data, like I want to give name Ramesh, roll number 21 and section A. And similarly I want to insert some more values. I already said before, if you want to insert any values, then you need to use execute method. So just write here cursor dot execute. So just write here cursor dot execute. I already said before, in execute at first you need to take quotation. So in quotations you need to write, I want to insert 3 values into students table. So just write here insert into table name, that is students. In students table I am inserting 3 values. So insert into students values. I want to insert values. First one is name. I want to give name like Sai. As we know, we will represent string in quotations. So in quotations I took Sai, comma. I want to insert roll number. Roll number is integer type. So I am giving roll number 12, comma. section. I want to give section like A. A is also string. So take quotations. Okay, close this bracket and similarly close this quotation and close execute method. And next similarly I want to insert another value like name Raju, rule number 39, section B. So write same line of code, that is cursor.execute. Guys, just remember that before execute method you need to include cursor, not connection. So just write here cur.execute and I want to insert data into students table. So just write here insert into students values. I want to insert values like Raju. You need to represent text in double quotations. Rule number 13 comma section B. Take section B in quotations and close bracket, close quotation. Here also you need to insert quotation. So close quotation and close execute method. I already said before, whenever you perform any operation, you need to write connection.commit. So this data will be stored in database permanently. So just write here connection.commit. Whenever I run this line of code, in my database, inside students table, it will insert values like Sai, Raju, rule number 12 and rule number 13 and section A and section B. After performing all these operations, at last we need to close our database. My database is present in variable, that is con. So just write here connection.close. This is program in order to create database, in order to insert table in database and in order to insert values. Whenever I run this program, this is my output. Guys, in exam they may ask separate questions like what is use of connect method, what is use of cursor method, what is use of execute method and what is use of commit method and close method. By using connect method, we can connect to database. If database is not present, it will create database and it will connect to the database. But if database is already present, then it will connect to the database. This is use of connect method. And cursor method is used to point cursor to database. If you want to perform any operations like inserting table, inserting values, at first you need to write cursor method. If you want to execute any query like creating tables, like inserting values, so on, then you need to use execute method. By using execute method, you can execute queries. And whereas commit method is used to commit current transaction. If we do not call this commit method, then once we close our program, then all this data will be lost. For example, after writing this code, if I don't write here commit method, then it will not create the students table and it will not insert any values. Commit method is used to commit transaction and close method is used to close database. Connection object methods are classified into 4 types. They are cursor method, commit method, rollback method and close method. If you want to undo any transaction, then you need to use rollback method. Rollback method is used to roll back any changes to the database. For example, I want to undo these 2 operations. So just write here connection.rollback. Whenever you write here connect.rollback, then it will undo these 2 operations. That is nothing but it will not insert these values. Insert command is used to insert values. This is syntax. Insert into table name, that is students, values. You can give values like name, Sai, rule number 21 and section A, so on. Guys, this is another program in order to create employees table. Till now we created students table. Now I want to create employee table. So this is program in order to create employee table. At first you need to import SQLITE 3 module. So just write here import SQLITE 3 and next write here connection, that is con equal to module name, that is SQLITE3.connect. And I want to connect to database. The database name is mydatabase.db. And next take cursor object. So just write here cur equal to my database is present in variable con. So just write here con.cursor. Definitely we need to write cursor method. After writing cursor method, I want to create employee table. So just write here cur, that is cursor.execute. Here you need to write query, that is create table if not exist, table name is employee. Inside employee table, I want to insert 3 columns. They are name, employee ID and salary. So at first write name. Guys, instead of using text data type, you can also use varchar data type, where varchar stands for variable character. And inside brackets I took 50. That is nothing but I can enter only up to 50 characters. I cannot enter more than 50 characters. For example, if you consider Sai, yes, Sai is 3 characters. Like that I can enter up to 50 characters. So just I took here name varchar 50 comma employee ID. Employee ID is also string type. So I took here varchar 50. I can enter up to 50 characters comma salary is int. So close this bracket and close quotation and close execute method. And next we need to commit this operation. So just write here connection.commit. Now I want to insert 3 values. So just write here cursor.execute in quotations, insert into table name employee. So inside employee table I want to insert values. That values are Sai, which is variable character. So take here quotations comma employee ID, inside quotations write employee ID like ID 512, comma, salary. I want to give salary like 25,000. So just write here 25300 and close this bracket, and similarly close this quotation and close execute method. Similarly, I want to insert some more values like Ramesh ID 512 and 10,000, Raju ID 513 and 40,000. After inserting these three values, we need to commit this operation. So just write here connection.commit, that is con.commit. After performing all these operations, at last we need to close our database. My database is present in variable, that is con. So just write here con.close. It will close my database. Whenever I run this code, I will get output. Inside my database, it will create employee table. Inside employee table, it will create three columns. One column name is name, another column name is employee ID, and another column name is salary. And it will insert values. So I explained this create operation. Create is nothing but creating database and inserting tables and values into the database. And next I will explain what is use of read operation. Read operation is nothing but whatever the table that is present inside my database, I want to see the table in my output screen. This is known as read operation. In order to see the table in output, there are four ways. First one is by using for loop, next one is by using fetch all function, and next one is by using fetch many function, and next one is by using fetch one function. I will give an example. For example, my database name is my database and my database contains table. The table name is employee, and employee table contains three columns. They are name, employee ID and salary. Inside this, it contains data of three employees. One employee name is Sai, ID is ID 511 and salary is 25,000. Similarly, another employee Ramesh and another employee Raju. Now I want to see this data in my output. So this is program in order to see this data in my output screen. Guys, just remember the syntax, that is select star from employee. This is program. At first you need to import SQLITE 3 module. So just write here import SQLITE 3, and next we need to connect to this database. The database name is my database. So just write here con equal to module name, that is SQLITE3.connect. By using connect method we can connect to database, and the database name is my database. And similarly next use cursor method. So just write here cur equal to my database is present in variable con. So just write here con.cursor. So take cursor method, and next take one variable. You can take any variable name. I am taking variable name as b. So just write here b equal to my cursor is present in variable cur. So cur.execute. Inside execute method, you need to write select star from table name, that is employee. That is nothing but star is nothing but it will select entire data which is present in employee table. This is meaning of star. So whenever I write here b equal to cursor.execute in quotations, select star from employee, whatever the data that is present in employee table, it will store all this data in variable b. And next I took here for loop for I in b, that is nothing but now this b contains complete employee table data. So now whatever the data that is present in variable b, whenever I write here for I in b, this data is transferred to I from variable b to I. This data is transferred from variable b to I. Now variable I contains complete employee data. Now I want to print this data. So just write here print. Directly you can give here I of 0, I of 1 and I of 2, where I is variable name. I am writing here name comma I of 0, employee ID equal to comma I of 1 and salary equal to comma I of 2. You need to take name equal to, employee ID equal to and salary equal to in quotations. Whenever I run this line of code, I will get output. This is I of 0, I of 1 and I of 2. I of 0 is first row, I of 1 is second row and I of 2 is third row. So I will get output name Sai, employee ID 511 and salary equal to 25,000. Similarly, it will print name equal to Ramesh, employee ID equal to ID 512 and salary equal to 10,000. So whenever I run this code, I will get output. This is my output. After performing all this operation, at last we need to close our database. So just write here connection.close. Guys, there are four ways in order to read data from database. First one is by using for loop, which I explained. Next one is by using fetch all method. Guys, same example, just in place of writing for loop, just instead of writing this 4 lines of code, just you need to use fetch all function. Same program, just write here b equal to cursor dot execute, select star from employee table, and next write here print b dot fetch all. Just instead of taking for loop, just write here print b dot fetch all. Fetch all function will represent output in the form of list. Inside list, it will display output. This is my output. Inside square brackets, that is nothing but inside list, it will display Sai, ID 511 and 25,000 in tuple. This is one row. It will represent each row in tuple. So it will represent first row in one tuple, and similarly Ramesh, ID 512 and 10,000 in another tuple, comma, this is third row, that is Raju, ID 513 and 40 in another tuple. This is my output. Fetch all function will represent output in the form of list. It will represent each row in tuple. Where this fetch all function will represent complete data which is present in employee table. But I want to print only first row. In order to print first row, just in place of writing fetch all, you need to write fetch one. This is example, same example which I took before. Just in place of writing fetch all, I written here fetch one. I will get output Sai, ID 511 and 25,000 in tuple. For example, I don't want to print complete rows. I want to print only first two rows. So in order to print particular rows, you need to use fetch many function. This is example. Just in place of writing b dot fetch one, just write here b dot fetch many. If you want to print only two rows, just you need to write here b dot fetch many of 2. So it will print only 2 rows. This is example. For example, I want to print only first 3 rows. So just write here print b dot fetch many of 3. Whenever I run this code, I will get this output. This is same like fetch all function. Just in place of writing fetch all, write here fetch many. And inside brackets, you need to give rows. How many rows that you want to print. These are Python programs in order to read data from database. Guys, in order to read data which is present in my database, just you need to remember this query, that is select star from, here you need to give table name. I want to read data which is present in employee table. I written here employee. Star is nothing but complete data which is present in my table. And you need to write this query in execute method. I already said before, in execute you need to take quotations. Next, use stands for update. Update is nothing but updating values that are already present in my table. Guys, this is syntax in order to update values that are present in my table. At first you need to write update command and table name. Here you need to write set, and here you need to give values which you want to change. Guys, this is program in order to update data which is present in employee table. For example, this is my database. My database name is my database, and my database contains table. The table name is employee, and this is employee table data. Employee table contains name Sai, Ramesh and Raju, and employee ID 511, 512 and 513, and salary 25,000, 10,000 and 40,000. Now I want to change name Sai to Ganesh, whose employee ID is ID 511. I will write program for this. In order to perform any operations on database, at first you need to import SQLITE 3 module. So just write here import SQLITE 3. SQLITE 3, and next I took here variable. That variable name is CON. You can take any variable name. I took here variable name as CON. CON equal to module name, that is SQLITE3.connect. I want to perform modifications on employee table which is present in mydatabase.db. Inside connect, write database name, that is mydatabase.db in quotations. And next to take another variable, you can take any variable name. I took here CUR, that is nothing but cursor. So I took here CUR equal to my database is present in variable CON. So just write here CON dot cursor. Guys, definitely write here cursor. Whenever you use execute method, before execute method definitely you need to include cursor method. So just written here CUR equal to connection, that is CON dot cursor. And next take another variable. I took here b equal to, guys, definitely for execute method you need to include cursor variable, that is CUR dot execute, and inside brackets take quotation. Now I want to change name Sai to Ganesh. So at first write update command and table name. My table name is employee. So write here employee, and next use here set. I already said syntax, that is update table name set. Here you need to give values which you want to change. I want to change name Sai to Ganesh. So just write here update employee, set name equal to Ganesh, where this Sai employee ID is ID 511. So just write here where employee ID equal to ID 511, where ID 511 is string. So take quotations. Whenever I run this line of code, it will change name, whose employee ID is 511 to Ganesh. So it will change name to Ganesh. Definitely after using execute method, write here commit. My database is present in variable that is con. So just write here con.commit. So it will commit this operation. In this program, I changed this name Sai to Ganesh. Now I want to read this data. This is command in order to read data. So just write here b equal to cursor.execute. Select star from employee. Whatever the data that is present inside employee table, it will select all this data and it will store this data in variable b. Now I want to see data which is present in variable b. By using fetch many method or fetch all method, you can see data. So just write print employee table data is present in variable b. So just write here b dot fetch many of 3. So it will read first 3 rows. So I'll get output. It changed the name Sai to Ganesh. So I'll get output Ganesh ID 511 and 25,000 and so on. This is my output. After performing all these operations, at last we need to close our database. So just write here connection.close. This is program in order to update data which is present in table in my database. Till now I explained create, read and update. Next I will explain delete. Delete refers to deletion of tuple present in the table. Tuple is nothing but one row is represented in tuple. For example, I want to remove one complete row. This is known as delete. For example, this is my database. My database name is mydatabase.db and this database contains table employee and this is employee table data. Now I want to delete this complete row whose employee ID is ID 511. Now I will write program for this. As we know, at first we need to import SQLITE 3. So just write here import SQLITE 3 and next write here con equal to module name that is SQLITE3.connect and open brackets. Inside this you need to give database name. My database name is mydatabase.db. So just write here mydatabase.db and next take cursor method. My database is present in con. So just write here con.cursor and next write here b equal to cursor.execute. Guys, if you want to insert any data or if you want to modify any data or if you want to delete any data, you need to write this queries in execute method. So inside execute method, I want to delete this row whose employee ID is 511. So just write here delete from table name that is employee ID is equal to ID 511. Definitely after performing each and every operation, you need to write here cursor.commit. So whenever I run this line of code, it will delete this complete row whose employee ID is ID 511. And next I want to read this data. So just take here variable name that is b equal to cursor.execute. Inside execute method, I want to select this complete employee data. So just write here select star from employee. Whenever you run this line of code, all this data is stored in variable b and whenever you write here print b.fetchAll, it will display this complete output in the form of list. It deleted this complete row. So I'll get output only 2 rows. Ramesh ID 512, salary 10,000 and Raju ID 513 and 40,000. At last we need to close our database. My database is present in variable con. So just write here con.close. This is Python program in order to delete table data from database. Next I will explain what is use of begin, commit and rollback. Begin is used to start transaction, commit is used to commit transaction and rollback is nothing but if you want to undo any transaction then you need to use rollback. Commit and rollback is important question.
Guys, not only SQLITE CRUD operations, in exam they may also ask MySQL CRUD operations and PostgreSQL CRUD operations. Same programs which we written before. For SQLITE 3 we written import SQLITE 3 and next we written con equal to SQLITE3.connect. Inside connect method we written mydatabase.db. Just in place of writing these two lines, for MySQL database you need to write import MySQL.connector and next you need to write con equal to MySQL.connector which is module name dot connect. This connect method contains 4 parameters. They are host, username, password and database. Where host is host name, here I am giving host name as my host and similarly username is Nagendra, password is 12345678 and database is nothing but my database name. I am giving my database name as my database. Just in place of writing these 2 lines, you need to write these 2 lines and rest everything is same. And similarly for PostgreSQL you need to use psychopg2 module. So just write here import psychopg2 and next I written here con equal to psychopg2 which is module name dot connect. Inside connect method you need to write host name, username, password and database name. So I written here host equal to my host, user equal to Nagendra, password equal to 12345678 and at last database equal to my database. Just in place of writing these 2 lines, you need to write these 2 lines. Rest everything is same. Same program for create operation, read operation, update operation and delete operation. Just these 2 lines are different. Next I will explain connection function and also I will explain connection function parameters and methods. By using connect function we can connect to database. If database is not present in my system, then it will create database and it will connect to the database. Next I will explain connection function parameters. Total there are 4 parameters in connect function. And the first one is host. Host is nothing but host name. And next one is user. That is nothing but username. And next one is password. And last one is database. Database is nothing but database name. These are 4 connection function parameters. Next I will explain connection function methods.
Connection object methods are classified into 4 types. They are cursor method, commit method, rollback method and close method. If you want to undo any transaction, then you need to use rollback method. Rollback method is used to roll back any changes to the database. For example, I want to undo these 2 operations. So just write here connection.rollback. Whenever you write here connect.rollback, then it will undo these 2 operations. That is nothing but it will not insert these values.
Next I will explain
What is ORM? ORM stands for Object Relational Mapper. Object is nothing but Python is object oriented programming language. So object is nothing but our Python program. And relational is nothing but relational database. What is relational database? Data which is stored in the form of tables is known as relational database. ORM is nothing but by using Python program we are creating relational database. Normally, in order to create relational database, we need to learn structured query language. Shortly we call it as SQL. But here there is no need of learning SQL. Directly by using Python program itself, we can create relational database. This is definition of ORM. ORM provides a high level abstraction upon a relational database that allows a developer to write Python code instead of SQL. Instead of SQL, we can use Python code to create, read, update and delete data in the database. Directly by using Python code itself, we can create, read, update and delete data which is present in my database. Developers can use their comfortable programming language in order to work with database instead of writing SQL statements. This is example. By using Python object, we are creating relational database. Python object is nothing but Python program. Here inside students table, I want to insert name Nagendra, rule number 512A and section A. And similarly, I want to insert name Sai, rule number 513A and section, that is section B. This is Python code in order to create this table. Here you need to take Python class. So class student, so I want to give name Nagendra, rule number 512A and section, that is section A. And similarly, take class student and inside student table, I want to insert name Sai, rule number 513A and section, that is section B. This is Python code in order to create this relational database. This is simple example. These are advantages of ORMs. And that first advantage is many of them don't know SQL. So there is no need of learning SQL. Directly by using Python program itself, you can perform various operations on database. So which will save our time. This is first advantage. Second advantage is ORM makes switching between various relational databases much easier because most functions remain same. For example, I want to shift from MySQL to PostgreSQL. So it is very easy to switch because most functions remain same. These are advantages of ORMs. Next I will explain disadvantages of ORMs. Because ORM is a different concept, in order to use an ORM, first you should learn it, which learning something new and adjust can take time. That means actually in order to create database and in order to perform various operations on database, you need to learn SQL. But what if you don't know SQL? If you don't know SQL, then you can use ORMs in order to create database and in order to perform various operations on database. But what if you don't know even ORMs too? So if you don't know ORMs, again you need to learn these ORMs. This is time taking process. This is first disadvantage. Second disadvantage is, for example, if you know SQL, then there is no need of using ORM because ORM will not provide much features when compared to SQL. It will take lot of time in order to configure ORM. This is third disadvantage. Not only SQLAlchemy, but also there are so many other Python ORM tools that are available. And that first one is Django, where Django is a great tool for building web applications rapidly. By using Django, we can create various web applications. Next one is Web2Py. Web2Py is an open source full stack Python framework for building fast, scalable, secure and data driven web applications. Open source means we can download this Web2Py framework with free of cost in internet. And by using this Web2Py, we can create fast and secure web applications. SQL Object and SQLAlchemy, both are same. Both are object relational managers. Object relational managers are nothing but, object is nothing but Python program. Relational is nothing but relational database. By using SQL Object and SQLAlchemy, we can establish communication between Python program and database. These are popular ORM tools for Python. This is definition of SQLAlchemy. SQLAlchemy is a popular object relational mapper library for Python. SQLAlchemy is nothing but it is ORM library for Python that provides a set of high-level APIs to interact with relational databases such as PostgreSQL, MySQL and SQLITE. This SQLAlchemy provides interface in order to interact with relational databases. That is nothing but by using Python we can interact with relational databases, like we can interact with the PostgreSQL database, MySQL database and SQLITE database by using Python. It allows developers to interact with databases in a way that's more Pythonic. That is nothing but we can interact with database by using Python. And whatever the code that we write, this code is very simple and it is easier to maintain that code. With SQLAlchemy, you can define the structure of your database tables using Python classes. That means by using Python classes, we can create database tables and then use these classes to perform CRUD operations on the data stored in the tables. And by using these Python classes, we can also perform various operations on data which is present in database. Like we can create, read, update and delete data which is present in database. The ORM takes care of converting Python operations into SQL statements that can be executed by database. By using ORM, we can convert Python operations into SQL statements that can be executed by database. Next I will explain SQLAlchemy program in order to perform CRUD operations. CRUD means create, read, update and delete. Now I will write Python program in order to create students database. Now inside this students database, we will insert students table and inside this table, we will insert some data. Read is nothing but reading data which is present in my table. Whatever the data that is present inside my table, I want to see the data on my output screen. This is meaning of read. And next, update is nothing but updating data which is present in my table, and delete is nothing but deleting data which is present in my table. I will write program in order to perform all these operations. At first you need to import SQLAlchemy module. So just write here from SQLAlchemy import create engine comma column comma integer comma string. That means at first this create engine function is used to create engine. By using this engine we can connect to database. And I want to create table. The table contains 3 columns. They are name, roll number and section. So I written here create engine comma. By using column we can create columns. Inside column I want to insert name Sai, roll number 20 and section A. Where this Sai and A are strings. And similarly this 20 is integer value. And similarly inside table I want to insert column, integer value and string value. So I written here column comma integer comma string. This is first step. And second step is from SQLAlchemy import session maker. By using create engine function we can create engine, and by using this engine we can connect to database. And in order to connect to this engine we need session maker. By using session maker function we can connect to this engine. And third step is from SQLAlchemy.ext.declarative import declarative underscore base. Guys, this SQLAlchemy.ext.declarative is submodule in SQLAlchemy module. In order to use this declarative base function, we need to import SQLAlchemy.ext.declarative, where ext stands for extensible file. But what is use of this declarative base function? If you consider this example, in this example we written Python class, and in order to convert this Python class into database, we need declarative base. At first what you need to do is, you need to store this declarative base function in one variable. You can take any variable. I am taking variable name as base equal to. Inside this base variable, I want to store declarative base function. So just write here declarative underscore base, take brackets because it is function. Now I will write Python code in order to create students table and in order to insert 3 columns inside students table. So just write here class. I am taking class. You can give any name. I'm giving this class name as students because I want to create students table. So I'm taking class name as students. Now inside class, you need to write declarative base function. This declarative base function is present in variable base. So just write here base. And by using this declarative base function, we can create relational database by using Python code and give column. Now I want to create table. The table name is students, and inside table I want to insert 3 columns. They are name, roll number and section. In order to create table, just write here underscore underscore table name underscore underscore that equal to. Here you need to give table name. I want to give table name as students. So I took here students in quotations. And similarly, now I want to create 3 columns. One column name is name, next column name is roll number, and next column name is section. Inside name column, I want to enter string value like name Sai, name Raju, name Ramesh, so on. So just I written here name equal to column of string. And similarly, I want to give roll number. Next I written here roll number equal to column of integer. I want to give integer value like I want to enter roll number 21, roll number 22, roll number 5, so on. So I written here roll number equal to column of integer. And similarly, I want to give last column name as section. So I written here section equal to inside section. I want to give section like section A, section B, so on. So I written here section equal to column of string. Whenever I run these 4 lines of code, this is output. Now we will use create engine function in order to create engine. So just write here I am creating engine. You can take any variable name. I am creating engine. So I am taking variable name as engine. Engine equal to, in order to create engine we need to use create engine function. So just write here create underscore engine. After writing create underscore engine, just write here I want to create SQLITE 3 database. So in quotations write, I am writing here SQLITE colon / here you need to give database name. I want to give database name as students. So just write here students.db and close these quotations and close bracket. Whenever I run this line of code, it will create database. The database name is students. Now whatever the table that I created, I want to store this table in this database. So just write here my entire table is stored in this base. So just write here base dot capital BASE base dot metadata dot create underscore all of base is nothing but this table. Now I want to store this table in this database students.db. The students database is present in variable engine. So inside this just write engine. Meaning of this is whatever the table that is present inside this base. Now I am storing this table in students.db database. The students.db database is present in variable engine. So I written here engine. Now I want to insert name Sai, roll number 20 and section A. But before that we need to create session maker. By using session maker we can connect to database. So that's why I written here from SQLAlchemy import session maker. The session maker is function. By using session maker function we can connect to this engine. So after writing this just write here. You can take any variable name. I am creating session. So I am taking variable name as session. So just write here session equal to, you need to take session maker function. By using session maker function we can connect to engine. Engine is nothing but we can connect to my database. So my database is present in variable engine. So just write here bind equal to engine. Bind is nothing but connect. We are connecting to engine by using session maker function. Now in order to perform any operations like in order to insert data or in order to update data or in order to delete data, at first you need to take session function. So I am taking variable name as s equal to session. Now I want to insert name Sai, roll number 20 and section A in my students table which is present in students database. So at first my data is transferred to session. After the data is transferred to engine, engine is nothing but data is transferred to my students database. Now I want to insert data. You can take any variable name. I want to insert data. So I am taking variable name as data equal to, my table is present in students class. So I took here students. Inside students class I want to insert name equal to Sai. So Sai strings, take quotations, comma, I want to insert rule number, that is 12, where rule number is integer. So don't take quotations, just write here 12, comma, I want to give section, where section is string. So I took here A in quotations. Now in order to add this data into my database, we need to use add function. My session is present in variable s, so just write here s dot add function. I want to add data. This data is present in variable data, so just write here s dot add of data. I want to store this data permanently. So by using commit method, you can store data permanently. So just write here s dot commit. So whenever I run this line of code, whatever the data that is present in variable data, this data is passed to variable s. S is nothing but session. Session contains engine. So this data is passed to engine. Now this engine contains students database. So data is passed from engine variable to students database. Now data is stored in students database. This is create operation. Next, similarly we will perform read operation, update operation and delete operation. Guys, just the same program. In order to create data or in order to read data or in order to update or delete data, all the steps are same. So for each and every program, you need to write all these steps. You need to write till here. For each and every program, you need to write till here, that is s equal to session. This is create operation. Whenever I run this entire code, this is my output. It will create students database. Inside students database, it will insert students table. Students table contains name Sai, roll number 20 and section A. Similarly, we will perform read operation. Reading is nothing but whatever the data that is present inside my table, I want to see this data on my output screen. This is meaning of reading. So just instead of writing this, just write here, I want to read data. So I am taking variable name as r equal to s dot query of, I want to read students table. So here in query function, you need to give students and I want to read complete data which is present in students table. So just write here dot all function. S is nothing but session. Now whatever the data that is present inside students table, all this data is present in variable r. So just take here for loop. So just write here for I in r, that is nothing but whatever the data that is present in variable r. Whenever I write here for I in r, all this data is transferred to variable I. Now in order to see output, just write here print I. Just remember these two steps in order to read data. Guys, this is update operation. Update is nothing but, for example, this is my table. My table contains name Sai, rule number 20 and section A. Now I want to change this Sai rule number from 20 to 50. So I write program for this. So same program. After s equal to session, just write here, you can take any variable name. I am updating data. So I am taking variable name as u equal to s dot query of students dot filter of students dot name that equal to Sai dot first. And I want to change this Sai roll number from 20 to 50. So just my data is present in variable u. So just write here u dot roll number equal to 50. So whenever you write here u dot roll number of 50, it will change Sai roll number from 25 to 50. Now it will change Sai roll number from 20 to 50. In order to commit above operation, just write here s dot commit. This is update operation. Now last one is delete operation. I want to delete this entire row. I want to delete. So I am taking variable name as d. D equal to same program. So write this same line of code. Just in place of writing u dot roll number equal to 50, just write here s dot delete of, my table name is students, so just write here students space del, that is delete. So whenever I run these 3 lines of code, it will delete data which is present in students table. This is how we perform CRUD operations by using SQLAlchemy. Guys, from unit 5, ORM CRUD operations and API CRUD operations are very important. Pakka one question will come in exam. We will perform ORM CRUD operations by using SQLAlchemy module, and similarly we will perform API CRUD operations by using SQLITE 3 module. So learn these 2 modules.